What's up guys? In this video, I want to talk about my experience unboxing and setting up the Valencia TUSCANY Ultimate Home Theater Luxury Edition seats. Wow, that's a mouthful. And I also want to talk about my general first impressions of the seats after having them for a couple of days. Now let's get a couple of disclaimers out of the way. First off, this will not be a full review video. That will be coming in a week or two after I've had some more time to spend with the seats, as I don't really think you can get like a full in-depth review after just a day or two of sitting in some seats. I'm just being honest there. And the second disclaimer is that Valencia did send these seats to me for review, and I do get to keep them after making videos on them. However, I will not let that bias my opinion on certain things that I feel maybe need improvement. I will be just as critical as if I were to spend my own money on these seats, just as I am with every other product that I've reviewed that I've gotten to keep from another company. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the unboxing experience. So if you're gonna be ordering these, know that they're gonna come on a pallet, especially if you're gonna be ordering more than one. I think one might still come on a pallet as well. They are a beast. They're really hard to move around by yourself. And it's not that I'm weak or not strong, it's just the boxes are big and bulky. And I actually had to take the hinges off of the door coming into the house from the garage to get the boxes in. And then we had to get them in the theater room. And that was kind of a problem because the boxes on the top obviously measure the width of the door. I was like, oh, it's perfect, just gonna fit right through. Well, the boxes actually bulge out a little bit on the side. So we ended up having to take the seats out of the box in the hallway outside of the theater room. We were able to get them in that way. And what's great is the back of the seats, including the headrest, are all one piece, and those come separately to the base. So it actually made it easier to get it into the room. I could get the back and the headrest in, and then we could kind of tilt the base sideways to get it through the door really easily. And once all that stuff was in, I was able to move everything around by myself. They slid on the carpet, no problem. They do come with little adhesive things you could put on the bottom that will help them slide more easily, but I found that I didn't really need those, and I was able to kind of maneuver them around pretty easily. As far as setup goes, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. The back and the headrest actually just slide down onto the base, so you'll hear like an audible click to make sure that they're good and secure. And then both of the seats have little connections on the back for the lumbar support as well as the LED lights, and those are all color coded, so they go together really easily. And then each seat in a row does have its own power cord, so they're not like connected together. So you will need two separate outlets. If you have two seats, or if you have 5 seats, you'll need 5 separate outlets. Now, as far as connecting the 2 chairs together, that's pretty simple and straightforward as well. The main chair, the one that has both the armrests on it, has these little grooved teeth connectors that come out. The other chair that only has the one armrest on it has these 2 steel connectors on the bottom. It fits right into the teeth connectors. You'll hear like some audible clicks as you move them closer and closer together. And then finally they just kind of snap into place, and you'll know when everything is nice and secure. Now that's it for setup pretty much. I mean, I did all of that by myself without the help of my wife. She helped me unbox it. Once everything was in the room, I did everything myself. Would it have been more helpful to have her in here or have a second pair of hands? Absolutely. Connecting the 2 chairs together was probably the main part that I really needed the most help on, but I got it done. I was just able to kind of push the one chair towards the other after I kind of centered it to the room. I would still recommend having a second person, just because at some points you might have to lift the chairs up, and the chairs are pretty heavy. Even like the one with only one armrest is still pretty heavy, especially with the back on. So that's something to keep in mind. You definitely may want a second pair of hands to help you out when you're setting everything up. Okay, so now that the chairs are set up, let's talk about my general first impressions and some off-the-cuff things that I like and don't like. And this is just after a day, so really not in depth. First things first, general impressions, comfort level, holy cow. Amazing is a good term. These are super comfy. Now, they're brand new, obviously, so they need a little time to break in, but I've been sitting in this chair kind of practicing this video for the better half of an hour, hour and a half. I don't want to get up. Like, they're super, super comfy. I really like the leather finish. I'll be honest and the first to tell you that I am not a huge fan of leather anything. Kind of been like that my whole life. And what's funny is it took me getting these chairs in this room to realize it's not the leather that I don't like, it's the finish. And I'm talking about like shiny leather. I'm not a fan of that. The finish on these are like a matte, flat black. onyx is the technical term on Valencia's website. And man, these are some awesome looking chairs. I'm not even gonna lie. I really enjoy the finish of them. You know, it's personal preference, obviously, but I really like this style of leather. Other things that I like is the cup holders. So you can actually take out the, if I can get it out. So black stainless steel. These aren't plastic or anything. I like that they're removable, so like, you know, you can clean them pretty easily. That's really awesome. I really like the LED accent lighting. It can be a bit bright when you have it fully reclined up, so like it can splash onto the projector screen if that's what you have, or a TV, you might see like a reflection. So you can easily turn those off with the buttons on the side. Speaking of the buttons, I really do enjoy having dedicated buttons for the headrest, the lumbar support, and the recline feature. And also they do have a memory feature on these as well. Another feature I like is next to the buttons you have USB-A and USB-C charging ports for your devices. And that's something I didn't even know that I needed, but I'm actually charging my iPad right now with my notes and everything for this video. And that's just super cool. So like in the future, when I maybe upgrade to a laptop that has a USB-C type charger on it, and I'm doing some, you know, REW videos or just overall calibrations in the room, I could have it plugged in here. I don't have to worry about connecting it to an outlet, you know, nearby. Same with the iPad charging or your phone charging or whatever. So it's just super convenient to have those things right there. Now, another thing I do like is just the overall aesthetic of the chairs once they're all assembled. The backs of the chairs look pretty sleek. They just look very clean, and that's really the name of the game with these chairs. Is everything is just kind of very clean about them. Now, a feature I do want to mention that I can't utilize is the accessory holders in the front of the chairs. Now, they have these little metallic chrome discs in the front. They actually look like they have little buttons in the middle that if you press, you know, you might get ejected into space. No, it's actually for Valencia's accessories. They have a little tray table, they have a wine glass holder and a tablet holder, and they just kind of stick down into there. And that might be super useful if you have like a laptop or a tablet, or you like a glass of wine or something. That's definitely something to keep in mind, and accessories to look into. All right, so those are all the things that I like. Now, what haven't I liked so far about the chairs, or what do I think maybe needs improvement? Initially, during setup, I could not find the power cables for the chairs. I was like, did they not put them in the bag, or you know, what's going on? I watched the assembly video again, I looked in the instructions, and I was like, wait a minute. When I grabbed the instructions, I felt something. The power cables are actually in the armrest, so don't be an idiot like me and look all through the bags that you've thrown away in the garbage and realize, oh wait, they're in the armrest. It's the last place I looked, obviously, but that's, you know, something that I noticed during setup, and that freaked me out enough that I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go buy power cables. So I felt it was worth mentioning. The second thing is the buttons on the side that access all of the lumbar support and everything. These are not backlit, which really surprised me. I actually Googled it and looked at a couple different videos just to make sure that my chairs weren't broken, or that part of the chairs weren't broken, and they're not. Apparently that's because in previous incarnations of these chairs, they were backlit, and they got a lot of complaints from people that own projectors that they were so bright, they were washing out the picture quality of their screen. And that's a total valid and understandable complaint. However, I feel like instead of removing the backlight completely, an on-off thing would have been a much better implementation here. Having it connected to the LEDs and the cup holders and everything, that basically when the LEDs are on, the button backlights are on. When the LEDs are off, button backlights are off as well. I mean, it could be tied into the same thing, or they could have a small button that will independently control the backlight of the buttons and the LEDs, you know, something like that. It just seemed like an odd choice to me that you just remove that completely, because in a completely dark room, they're really hard to see, and you kind of got to go by your muscle memory in terms of which button does what. Just having, you know, the little backlight buttons there would just add that little extra detail that I think would just be really, really great. Because let's face it, if you're actually gonna have the LEDs on while you're watching a movie on your projector or whatever TV you have, and you're reclined up, well, there's an LED strip underneath. So as soon as you raise it up, the LEDs are gonna shine light onto your display. So you're gonna wanna disable the LEDs anyway, otherwise you're gonna be dealing with color casts on your screen, you're gonna be dealing with a washed out image. And the last little thing I wanna mention is not Valencia's fault at all. It's actually something I didn't even think about, but I wanna mention it because if you're thinking about buying these chairs, it's something that you want to consider. I like to sit in the center of the room. I think most of you probably are the same way. You know, it's a prime sweet spot for your audio, you know, you're right in line with your display. Having two chairs kind of makes that almost impossible unless you're okay offsetting those chairs left or right. And what I mean is, in order to get a seat right in the center of the room, you either have to push the chairs right or push the chairs left. That kind of creates this weird symmetry thing in the room that's just gonna look off if it's like to one side. So something I didn't think about was, two chairs are great, but 3 chairs in this room would be perfect because it could have the center right in the middle and then a chair on each side. So that way my wife could sit on, you know, whatever side she prefers, and then I have my captain's chair, as I call it. So that's just something to consider if you're thinking about buying any type of theater seats. Depending on your space, you might want to get an extra chair. So if you're thinking about getting 2 chairs, maybe consider getting 3 if you could swing it and you want that symmetry in your room. Or if you're getting 4 chairs, you may want to consider getting 5 if you have the space. It's just something to keep in mind. But that's kind of the only things I can think of so far. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about as I use these chairs over the next week or two. And I have a more in-depth analysis, if you will, in the final review. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Helps it reach more people. And also, if you have Valencia chairs yourself or thinking about getting them or some other brand, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know. I'd love to chat with you about it. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.